Hello, this is Liz. Welcome to my little urban homestead and welcome to Fabric Friday. You saw me making this X marks the spot and I've attached it by some straight line quilting to some old osmond curtain fabric I've got and just did some straight lines around the X. I'm not doing a lot of it, doesn't need it. But I need to bind it with, I don't know if you can see that, I want to bind it with this piping I've made. This is so that Lurch can stand on it when he is playing VR, so that if he starts to move his feet, he will feel under his feet this cord and know not to go outside it, because no end of people have actually ended up punching their television screens while they've been in VR, and I don't want him to do that. So what I've done, you saw me making the piping. I cut it slightly less and then turned it over and over again, and so the piping is near the middle of your quilt, mat, whatever. Lay it down, put the binding on top of it, and that I'm going to start just before there, I think. As per usual with binding, I've got a tail here. I'm doing it to the front and then stick it down on the machine. It doesn't have to be brilliant, it's just something that Lurch can get out and use when he's using his VR, so he doesn't end up punching the wall, the television, the dog, me as I walk past. So I know that this red clip denotes where it actually is. So let's, yes, I'm back on straight stitch. Got my needle. Backtrack a touch. I think I might alter my stitch length slightly. But that's all I'm doing, is making sure that, let me take these off so I'll show you, this piping is near to the edge, and then stitch the binding down. And then it's exactly how you normally bind it. When you get to the corner, this is what I do anyway. When I get to the corner, turn slightly and sew off. We'll treat it as though it's part of the binding, so we normally would put the binding up there. If I clip the two bits together, that should help. I bet you can't see. Yeah, and we would normally turn the corner to get a nice and white at the corner, we do exactly the same and keep the binding and this piping together. It's a little bit fiddly. Maybe I should have sewn the piping and binding together. Oh well. But that, whoops, not the camera. That's now held by my hand, well, my fingers. So I'm keeping the two together. With that clip. Yes, it's making a nice corner. And I'll now and as you can see, that's now fully attached, and I'll be able to pull my binding round the back and it'll leave that there. In fact, it could have gone really closer. In fact, I think I might unpick that and put it a lot closer. I did unpick and re-stitch it down because I felt it wasn't close enough to the cording. Now I've gone all the way around it and I'm back at my start. I've had to unpick here because you need to start exactly where your piping starts, and I didn't. But what I'm going to do is finish it off exactly the same as I started it. So my scissors, because I will want to be turning it, there's that off. And this is exactly how I did the front. Well, not the front, the start bit of it. Is I pulled it out a touch. And then cut it off. Oh, I should say about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, something like that. Make sure it's back in the casing that you made. A little hem, no, I want it face the other way. Small hem and a larger one. If this was a gift or anything like that, then I would have taken more time and effort, but it's just something for Lurch to stand on when he's playing in his BR. So that is now ready to stitch down. So let's pin it there, and let's sort out my binding. which is how you would normally sort out your binding. Yes, putting my zipper foot back on meant that I could get closer to this piping. Which is basically what I needed to do. I'm sure there's possibly a neater way of doing your piping at the moment, but I'm not bothered. Like I told you before, this is just for standing on. So now I'm going to take the binding around to the back and I'll show you when it's done. And there we have it. I've sewn the binding down, and because it's got this cord round it, when Lurch is playing on his VR headset, he's barefoot in the house anyway. When his foot goes on this cording, he will feel that he's going to the edge of the mat. So these 22 inches is going to decide that I can't move. If I move any further forward, I'm going to hit the television. Further to the side, I'll hit the wall. So this is a VR placement mat. But yeah, it was awkward doing the binding with this piping on, and I think if I do it again, which I doubt, I'll actually put back the piping round here, and then it's easier to bind as a normal quilt. I'll actually put the binding in to the mat. Okay, thank you, bye.